And there we go. Hey, I hope this is working because this is my second effort in getting this to go to fruition. Last time it did say, okay, yep, it's working. Yay, finally. All right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thanks for stopping by. I'm going to push this around to make sure. See what's going on, at least for a little bit. So, welcome to post Lionsgate 2025, and what a hell of a night I had. I think everybody, that was like really potent. That was really potent. And from what I understand, we got still more of this ability to keep things moving whatever you're focusing on. There are things that are coming to fruition personally, and I believe that this is not just for this and taking advantage of this right now. I don't know if Stone mentioned it last night, that we have to focus on what we want without holding on too much of what we can physically see, because it's something where we need to be able to, that's like a manifestation thing, right? You see it, you envision it, you not only that, but you have that, you embody that feeling. Even when you're not sitting down there, if you feel yourself kind of dropping down, that's okay. Without judgment, you just bring yourself back up to that particular feeling, because it's really the consistent feeling that is the manifested magic, so to speak. One of the things that I kind of see that as is not raising, but an expansion, and this keeps coming back. This was at 12:49 a.m. and I don't know if I read this or not. So July 27th, I'm being drawn back to the Mandelbrot fractal image and the idea that there is no way knowing God as we call the so-called higher power. But the thing is that since God is unknowable, the whole idea reverts us back to that we are a portion of that idea, the Mandelbrot, right? And the fractal is not fractured, it's connected, it's an expansion. And we typically, when we look at something like that and there's like an animated expression of that, it's not 2D, it's not two-dimensional, it's not just length and width, and it's not even just length, width, and height. It's much deeper than that. It is a connected, unique aspect of the greater scheme of the concept, the greater concept, because the concept just keeps growing, and it's as those fractals, but it's really not it's connected. It's still, because people think, when I think, okay, you're just a fractal. Well, it's not just, you're still connected. You may not feel that way, but you're still connected. So this is why God is not knowable, or what we would term God anyway. So the Mandelbrot was definitely on something when he saw that the concept of what life is, but the fractal, again, is not separate from the original or origin, but is established what we consider to be life. So even when you talk about when you conceive, that sperm goes through the egg, there's that spark, and cells begin to divide. And it knows there is a definite designed intelligence with this. And when the concept remains outside of the Mandelbrot, which again is another expression of that, other aspects of thought and concept brings everything to kind of fruition. This to me feels like a huge collective seeing different things of what we call reality, but it's also something where it's part of this manifestation process, and it's what we need to kind of focus on, because Stone had said that when we have these, I don't even like calling them portals anymore. They're just, it's like a vortex. It's not just something that opens and closes. there is a spin to it, and it's not just circular. It has a lot of different directions that create this really, I can see it in my head. I couldn't draw it if I tried, but I can kind of see it in my head. It's not one directional, or the spin is this way, and on the other side, it's gonna look different. So, that's counterclockwise and this is clockwise. So, you're spinning like this, so it's gonna depend on your perspective as to what you're seeing. I don't know why I'm going down that path. I'm just going with the flow, right? So, yeah. Let's get to, so in the last 2 weeks, what are we pulling in for the last 2 weeks, and then pulling what to expect in the next 2 weeks? Because I think that's where, because it was a full moon along with it, right? Yeah. And that kind of sticks around for about 10 to 14 days. I'm gonna switch over my camera. I'm really sorry. It's gonna freaking twitch. There's nothing I can do about it. Oh, sorry. That was really quiet, wasn't it? I saw a lot of hand movement though. That had to have been entertaining. All right. So the information that we bring here is always accepted with gratitude, because it's revealed to us for our highest good. And you're going to find this when you need it. So basically it's timeless, even though we've just gone through 8/8/2025. We look at the past 2 weeks that each one of us experienced, and we look at the future and kind of bring these into where we can utilize those to our greatest benefit. We're going to see less and less, I feel, of looking outside of ourselves. These are guides. Take it, as loose guidance at best, I guess, and figure out what's going to work for you. Because, like I said, we have to interpret ourselves. We have to keep ourselves safe. Okay. So 4 of Wands, victory. So in the past 2 weeks, we've experienced a lot of victory. Sorry, there's a lot of shine coming off here today. I might have to turn off that one light. See, I don't have any lights on in here. I don't understand why it's so freaking bright. Let me see about turning this off. That's helpful. Yeah. So I think there's a lot that comes off of here because it's very shadowy in here. All right, 8 of Swords. So I think a lot of the benefits that we have for us, that are available to us, that we've experienced in the last 2 weeks, because that's where we are now. I mean, technically this is supposed to represent the past 2 weeks, but what we're pulling forward from our experiences is that there have been some significant, the word coupling, even though that's 4, the word coupling is coming up, probably because there's 2 figures here, but there are things that we're examining that it's not that we don't see them, it's that and this is what's interesting. So this individual has their back, assuming a woman, but the swords it's like flat. So if your hand is here, how are you going to release yourself? So we need to kind of work out how to do that. How are you going to loose yourself? Ooh. And I think this has to do with a lot of very earthy, grounded energy. I think the word I just got was something for me personally, so I'm not going to share that. So given this information, what is this that we're going to see or hear or feel? In the now. So given that there's this going on with this, okay. Wow. So, wow. All right. So this is the Hierophant. So that's to me like, right now, I mean, it could mean a lot of different things, but for this particular rendition, it's like a commitment For some, it might mean something on paperwork, but I don't kind of feel that, but it might do. And I got 4 cards, 5 suits. Okay. That's not going to work. There's something between these. So if there is some kind of union celebration, but we didn't recognize it at the time. And this is what we had access to. And I think it's going to be pulled forward. It's not going to be given up. Wow. Okay. So that's 2, but those Roman numerals look like an 11 to me. And we might be a little burdened with some of our responsibilities or the decisions that we might have to be making. But that's not necessary. It's not necessary. We might be overthinking it. But it's something that we feel very passionate about. Very interesting. What else? Yeah, there's a lot of communication. And it's from outside of ourselves, so I don't know if that's etherically speaking or if it's someone next to so it's just like a lot of people are saying, when I was out working, one of the AFC managers told me that when they go out into public, they don't talk to anybody, and when somebody says something to them, she kind of looks at them and says, sometimes doesn't even say anything at all, but will just walk away. So there's a lot of fear in that. It's not that I don't care, because I talk to some potentially yeah, hazardous people in their homes. So communication is going to be key, and we're going to have to use our discernment. And I think we have the tools to be able to do that when we stay grounded. And I think we have all the tools, whether and we're talking about earthly grounded, uh, you know, well thought out process, I guess. Yeah, a lot of information, coming out. Yeah. All right, my hands are too small. So what else do we have? This is going to be the 2 weeks in future that we can embody or with today. Because if we got the Hierophant, we pretty much know the routine. Oh my gosh. So again, we have a lot of communication. We're going to keep getting it. We better start getting, people like to say, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. I don't think that's the case here unless you make it so. But because we have everything, we've already gotten everything. We've already received everything. And when we're making decisions, and taking action, this is taking action. The communications are going to come more free flowing. Right? All right. All right. And this is a potential hazard. Only sequester or hide yourself away if you are feeling overwhelmed. I personally have been feeling extremely overwhelmed. I told Stone that when I was driving home, I had to put on, it was pretty close to about, I don't know, might have been like 200, 250 miles yesterday for home visits. And this is not my first time traveling that path, but my head was in such an odd space as I was driving home. I missed 2 exits, and it took me an extra 10 minutes to get home. That was something that I did not see coming. The decisions I made to either stay on the road, I knew there was it didn't freak me out. I was like, oh, when am I going to get home now? So I would look at the GPS and say, okay, it's delayed me by 5 minutes, but I don't judge anything on something like that. I don't get mad about it. It just is. All right. So yeah, this is thoughts and words. I feel like the thoughts and words are a blessing to us, and they're not necessarily thoughts and words that are coming from within ourselves. might be coming from the ether, might be coming from friends, family, neighbors, might even be coming from your dog, cat, or bird. Thinking about, you just spending time in nature. There's no real nature images here. Wow. And staying really grounded, I think, is going to be really important because we're, man, I woke up with vertigo this morning. So that to me is being told that I need to get a little more grounded, because let me tell you, I did not feel grounded at all. I might have been picking up on something or someone else. Not sure. Ooh. I don't necessarily go by what's listed on here. I don't see anything that's on here except for the conceiving and mother figure. So there's like an idea that sorry, I don't feel entrapment. I don't feel that at all. I don't see that at all. I mean, somebody might be experiencing that, but I don't feel it's relevant to this. We are not to give in to somebody else trying to steal our decision making. This is about it's conceiving, that I think is a misleading word on this. Clearly there's been a conception quite some time ago. This to me more says like, I'm getting ready to drop the idea. I mean, it's going to be out. It's going to, and if you've ever experienced birth, I mean, from the mom side or the dad side, it's messy. And to put it mildly, it's not comfortable. And, having that nurturing of self is kind of like the same kind of thing. Nurturing self, not overthinking things, realizing that what's coming in, because this is like messages. I'm trying to figure out what the heck is going on and getting those messages, yep, in and out, clashing like waves. So it's going to come just like with labor, contractions. I'm going to call them contractions because I personally did not feel pain. I felt the contractions. Thank you very much, Braxton Hicks, probably almost last trimester, but you kind of get used to that ebb and flow and you take advantage of it. And it's like riding the wave. Oh, um, ooh, somebody got busted for something. And there's flashbacks. Childhood, I like this. Childhood wombs. So how does that fit in with that? So there might be some jealousy. I feel like people are getting jealous of some of our successes. And I had heard somebody talking about that. It was probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago, saying that this is a time that we start approaching these when you're a manifester. A lot of people that even aren't even necessarily a frenemy, but more like somebody who counts you as a friend, but that you can still, if they have something that's unhealed, they can get triggered by something that's good coming through. So they need to get rid of their own childhood wounds or woundings, and it may cause them some flashbacks. I don't feel like this is us. What I feel like, though, I feel like that this is ready to explode. And there's an exposure that, because it says caught in the act. So when we're giving birth to these ideas, and able to properly process these messages, that might trigger some people. So stay the course. Stay the course. Sequester if you have to, but be prepared to do it in a healthy way. I used to watch this Swedish, what do you call it? It was like a crime I think, I don't know if it's still on. It was Beck. And he came to his home, to his apartment, and there was his neighbor who was kind of, you know, burr under the saddle sometimes. But he was drinking. Was he drinking? No, he was not drinking. He was sobbing in the hallway. And Beck found out that his dad had passed. The neighbor's dad had passed. And he asked him if he would like to come in and have a few drinks with him. And he said, no. He said, because when you celebrate, you celebrate. And he says, I'm not celebrating. And I mean, there was all these other little nuances, but it was the same, it's the same kind of idea that if you're gonna do something, you do something on your own, but do it in a healthy way. Yeah. And it is about the yin. I feel like the yin is that sequestering. It's using your head over this rash behavior, and it's gonna it's gonna have a greater yield to it. And this goes with this. This is the Two of Wands. There are going to be some, decisions that we're going to have to make, all of us, that's going to not really make us comfortable. But once we're making the decision and we're taking those steps, it's going to have a huge benefit, and we're going to feel the time pressure. Oh my God. So this, with each tick of the clock, it's like a contraction. Oh, that was it. That was kind of odd. So just being more aware of riding the wave of emotions. I mean, let's face it, when those of us who are pregnant get pregnant, there are waves of emotion, and I think that we're all going to be experiencing that if we haven't already. I know I have. It's it's wow. Not yeah. So what else? This is the last of it. Realization. This is only part of it. This is like a realization, but I feel like there's also a revelation that once we have this realization, and it's using your real eyes to see, the frequency of realization supports the internal process of becoming aware of your heart-centered truth, as well as the external process of becoming our highest expression in this world. That is truly the embodiment of all of this. Yeah. Allowance. And I feel like that's the hermit. That's having personal grace, and forgiveness. So the frequency of allowance invites us to be open to whatever comes our way, without judgment, without opinion, without fear, and without resistance. There is some resistance here. But once we are freeing ourselves from that, because they are definitely self-imposed restrictions. And here's the other thing that's coming up, that we have to have the bigness within us, like in the Mandelbrot, to access that greater source. And sometimes that humility can come through and hinder us from being able to ask for help when we need it. Doesn't mean another person. It could be from the etheric realm, on however that is, manifestable in your life, if that's a word. It is now. All right, and all right, where's that time one? Because it was TikTok, right? So this is related to our soul then. This is definitely related to our soul. This is soul time. The frequency of soul time asks us to allow the possibility of a new reality to emerge. Fear. I just heard the word fear. And I'm sorry, they're not false. If you're feeling something, that's as real as you feel. Now, can you modify that to your benefit? Absolutely. So soul time asks us to allow the possibility of a new reality to emerge, one that embraces the concept that while the corporeal body is mortal, the soul is timeless, limitless, and infinite. So the illusion of time and getting in our head, we should be able to be loosed from that, and really kind of embody the next step, the next phase, the next expansion. Because I think a lot of people have kind of reached a plateau. And it's almost like you get to the top of the bubble. That bubble is going to pop, and then you just kind of shoot up for a second. You kind of stabilize, and then you start the whole process again. But anyway, that's what I got. I hope this was helpful to somebody. And please do like, share, and subscribe. If you need anything, just reach out and let me know. Otherwise, y'all, I guess.